morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jarrah Marble dwellers. Well, it's that time of the year, isn't it? Well, it's this time of the week. Christmas is coming, the very fast arrival, and can be the worst time for so many people. And I really want to sort of flesh that out a little bit, because last year I talked about the background and the history of Christmas, and it turned out to be really quite interesting. The feedback that I got, there were things that people didn't know, had never heard about before, and I myself, I was exactly the same. So first and foremost, if you have a nice family, then great. And it's not so many of us stories though out there. The holidays can be a really nice time to simply do what you want to do. There's your first clue. Obligation is just so 1965. For so many having a nice time at the end of the year holidays, it's not happening. It's a horrible thought, and they have a hard time with it all. These days you're hearing more and more about the reality of people that just have toxic families. Obligation to appear at gatherings that so many do not wish to attend. They're abused and snared at for their differences, and it's simply not on. Society in general can go and bite its ass. Society does not get to tell you who you should be. And this goes for everything, including going to gatherings of any kind, holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, etc., whatever. Where you are very uncomfortable or made to feel so bad, we must stop society dictating our lives. It just isn't working in so many areas. Here we are looking 2024 right in the eyeballs, and I think it's fair to say that you deserve so much more, and that you don't have to be around horrible people. You don't have to be around them. Personally, myself, I would rather be alone. And that's right. Thank you very much. But I'm here. I know, Bob. I know, which I do appreciate. I think it is so important to know that you don't have to go. You can say, not this year. Ultimately, you will know when the time is right for you. I did some 30 years ago, and yes, it wasn't easy in spots, but to be really brutally honest, I mostly just felt relieved. And now for many years on, I just don't waste any of my brain juice on any of it at all. You may have committed to going. Well, uncommit. Don't answer the door. Don't answer messages or calls. If you have to protect yourself, do it. Look, even those that have good families, sometimes you just don't want to. You just don't want to do the whole event thing. You want to enjoy actually being alone, especially if you've had a crazy year. We'll get together when it suits. It shouldn't be laden with obligation and discomfort. Let it go if you can. Just because someone shares your blood, that doesn't mean that they get to, be in your life. Abuse is abuse, and you cannot even sugarcoat that stuff, because that's what it is. It's just rubbish, isn't it? And you're way too special and wonderful for that. And if you are dealing with constant disrespect, your boundaries are being broken, and people just refuse to believe your truth or certain truths about yourself, they just don't have a place in your life. And you do not have to bear the weight of others' ignorances, prejudices that cause you pain and suffering. You are precious, way too precious for that treatment for anybody, let alone bloody family. The truth is, so many of us have toxic to the very brim, to the very top, family members who are so damaging. Like mine, you are not under any obligation to see people who do not treat us well. I promise you, anyone that has stopped talking to their families, they did not do this on a whim. They have stopped seeing their families after years of abuse, and a lot of us gave decades of our lives trying to make things work. Sound familiar? Eventually, you have to cut people out of your life as an act of self-preservation and enter into the sanctimonious know-it-alls at this stage. Oh, you can't ditch your family. As I said before, nobody goes out of their way to ditch their family. There's normally been a lot of history prior, a lot of heartache, a lot of trying, a lot of back and forth, and maybe this time, and maybe when this happens, or maybe when they have a baby they'll understand, or maybe when, and you end up just really, it's really terrible what it can do to people. I've seen it. It's just so wrong, and so this year, I just wanted to reach out to those people that struggle with Christmas. As I said before, if you've got a great family and you get together and it's lovely, then I say that's wonderful, that's fantastic. But there's many people out there do not do not have that as their story. And not that it's happened very much, but, well, not anymore anyway, but, bothering to sort of to explain yourself to some, do-gooder who has no idea, or honestly, I think it's a very revealing thing. It just shows you how sometimes people can just be very insensitive and unkind, and or it's just showing that they are actually an abuser or they're a martyr and they just want you, in their nightmare. Oh, no thanks. That's what I say, no thanks, crikey. So here comes Christmas. It's coming up over the bend. There are so many variations of scenarios in this tough experience, isn't there? Not all families participate in holiday gatherings every year. And that doesn't mean you're abandoning your family. This is strictly talking about extreme cases, and there are many, many, many of them, and there's many, many, many of us. Blood does not mean much to me in terms of family honour. I'm healthy, happy, and they've lost themselves in an awesome relative. That's right. Excuse me, who would that be? Oh, that'd be me. Oh, thank you.
You are.
I know. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. If you don't have abusive relatives, then you may not understand. Bottom line, no one should feel obligated, guilted, or forced to spend time with people who are not good for their health. Yeah, there can be guilt associated with staying away, but it does dwindle away after a few years. In truth, I just don't feel guilty. I had no bloody time or the luxury, to lie around feeling guilty. And I had made up my mind solidly. That saying, good riddance to bad rubbish. When people are detrimental to your health, as mine were, one is just better off without them. And ultimately, I didn't have to subject my daughters to them. I just want to send much love out to those that are going through this, because this time of year does tend to bring things up, doesn't it? And anything that is not settled within oneself, and certainly the impending Christmas gatherings that many of us loathe or, wish to avoid. So yeah, the smartest thing I ever did was say no to the lot of them. I took my power back years ago, and it stays with me. My power stick is long and strong and takes no nonsense. They in turn have banned me from their life, and can I say thank fuck for that? It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. So followed by suits me. Anyway, many people's families are concerned with the appearance of the family seemingly unified, to satisfy the status quo. There lies a possibility for them to invent elaborate lies if you don't turn up so as to save their face. These sorts will never be interested in an honest conversation about the pain that they've actually caused. It has become pretty textbook stuff. For those that have just had the talk for the first time, you are brave and are carving out your own road. It can feel jarring. I've seen it in others, but it most certainly does improve. So give yourself permission, if you can, to say, not this year. You deserve kindness and peace. Self-care dwellers, please, please, please look after what you need to happen. And if that means staying away from the people who are toxic, maybe you can allow yourself enough space to consider it, or just think about it a little. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you drinking enough water? Have you had your meds? Have you told yourself lovely things today? Because you are lovely. #no is a complete sentence. Now and then in life, you may find you have to say no, a flat out, straight out no, to putting yourself in any kind of danger, and that might be going to a family gathering at Christmas time. If it is something you think about a lot and say you haven't been able to not show up, then I believe your time is coming. It will happen. I remember the first time I ever had a solo Christmas. It was many, many years ago. Would be over 30 years ago, and my daughters were going to their dad's place for Christmas. It was decided that it was their turn, and so off they went. And fortunately at that time, I lived in this beautiful little country town that was right on the coastline. So I took down a miniature Christmas tree and 2 little presents, and I just floated in the water and down on the beach. It was just lovely. Of course, I miss my children. It just felt so unnatural. And if anyone is, again, if they haven't gone through that, then yeah, it's tough. But sometimes this is, I think, was for me my learning ground to learn how to get on with the business of getting on. And but I want to share with you something that I have done for years and it works. If I replace fear with faith, I'm not talking about religion. Personally, myself, I don't attend church, so this is not religious based. I mean faith in the universe, God, spirit, vibration, higher power, whatever it is that you think of when you think of faith, faith in yourself. You can't control everything by yourself. You need to enlist help. Now, in my life, there have been big gaps where there was absolutely no one who could help or assist me, and I used to make sure that I wasn't feeling frightened and that I had this powerful belief that a miracle was on its way. I felt protected, like I used to feel like my car had angel wings. I needed to feel safe because I was travelling alone with 3 children, and at various junctures in my parenting life, it really was just the children and myself. I'm talking years, not like a weekend. And I can't prove any of this, but something happens when you do this, which is replace your fear with faith. You have to hold your faith, get more physically active, watch and listen only to good stuff, no, not news, no negative carry on. Feed your brain goodness. Find someone to follow who you can listen to, who inspires you, brings you a little bit of peace, and gives you a feeling that you've got this. I love feeling like that. Take action where you can. Lots of action, no matter what. Walk to the other side of the room, but get moving. And don't worry about the outcomes and how it's going to happen. You just leave all of that to the higher power. That way, you take the burden off yourself. I've done this for years and faith has proven out each and every time. And can I say, I have found myself in some seemingly impossible situations in my day. I just hope that this helps somebody. And I just had this thought. It is really, really hard to make really great decisions or feel strong about making a decision like staying away from a Christmas gathering if you're feeling depleted. If you're depleted, that means your brain's depleted. And it's really difficult to be our best selves if our brains are depleted. So I just wanted to add, be really, really easy on yourself. You're not supposed to be able to, move ahead strongly if you're feeling really wiped out by, impending gatherings that you absolutely can't go to or don't want to go to. I just wanted to mention that before I forgot it because I could forget. And, anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
Stop it, Bob.
I think that'll help somebody for sure.
I sure hope so, Bob. Harnessing self-love has far-reaching effects, leading to fantastic results. When I started mindfully developing my own sense of self-love and self-value, which turned into self-respect, I realised soon into my practice that I was feeling different. And further to that, I felt that I mattered based on my measure and self-acceptance, not on, say, in this case, a shitty family. I never knew that I needed to get mindful about my sense of self, but then after many horrible situations, I knew I had to, and I did, and nothing could have prepared me for the benefits. One of them was I did not care less about what had gone on before. I did not need my side of the story heard and believed. I wished them well and full stop. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing more, nothing less. And when we really get invested in caring about ourselves, and let's face it, if we are battling shitty families and we aren't ready to step right away, our self-love, our value can sit low in the love barometer. The word self, the value in self-love, especially when we want those who don't to love us. Ultimately, the value can take us right out of the problem by taking ourselves right out of the equation. As my focus continues with caring mindfully for myself, I passed through another lesson, and that was about not being a victim. I had never thought of myself in that term, but I needed to look at it. #no is a complete sentence. So as I got deeper into the truth of my experiences, I realised that I had bypassed a lot of useless emotions that were wrapped up in being a victim. No can do. We can lose time, precious time in our life, hoping that others will understand. If they could lend their ear to your plight and be kind and supportive and mostly loving, but there are a breed that will not, cannot. And that would entail being honest about what has gone on before. And where there has been no honesty and ownership of poor behaviour over many years, all of that just brings me back to dough. Love yourself. Be the person you needed then and now. Care about you. Keep yourself away from horrible situations. Protect yourself first, and at all costs be vigilant for you. If you can, I know that we have many, many different situations out there, but if you can, then, that is pretty wonderful and pretty courageous too. So if this is you, you have courage and have done what we all should do, and that is take a leaf out of their book with looking after yourself first and well. Remember with the holidays coming up that it is just one arbitrary day, but that day can be incredibly painful for so many. So all the more reason to plan your day if you are going to be alone or not go to the chaos. Just to be very clear, aside my daughters, I have zero contact with any of my family, and so I'm speaking strictly from my own experiences. And now many years, more than 3 decades later, and the older I get, I can see no difference, nothing, no effort made for me to see things differently. It will never change, and I am more than okay about it all. I can say that it has really shaped me. And so I can see clearly when people are covering constant faux pas, when they just want it over with, the stress and strain as the day gets closer, it is painful. The obligation to rise to the occasion for people who are rude, opinionated, ungrateful, and feel free to add any other objectives there because there are so many. I haven't got much in me for obligation anymore. If I love you, and that's it. Some folk are right on the other side of this, and others haven't transitioned and are remarkably unhealthy for it. I support anyone who wants to go no contact. Holidays and relationships with family looks different for everybody. You don't need to change. Sometimes we have to fully feel how we feel, whatever it is. You might be angry and be right with it. Grieving has many faces. It can be sadness, you could feel lonely, you could feel unseen or unheard. It is very stressful and triggering to so many, and some of us, it can leave us feeling numb. And that's how it showed up in me, just this numbness. For years, I could barely feel anything. But then grief and sadnesses were the first to resurface, and now I'm a champion crier. I am. Anyway, I can cry over a good margarine ad, but anyway, we will all have different reactions, but one thing they all are, they're big feelings. You have to get to the point where you are no longer listening to that inner judge. When you want a different life, you have to turn that corner, and you will, and just change the relationship with that judge, in turn changing the relationship with yourself. You know, the voice that tells you what you're supposed to do. You have to go see the family. You have to go to Thanksgiving, Christmas lunch or whatever. The time will come where that inner judging voice just has to be cancelled. I am committed to choosing kindness. I remember when my kids would spend half a day at their dad's and then half a day at mine. It was bloody awful for them. I was talking to my eldest daughter this morning about it, and she said she just hated it. She would get asked questions like, when are you getting married? And she was 21, for God's sake, anyway. And when are you planning on having kids? Okay, well, we're not married yet. And just lots of other just stupid questions because they spent no time with her any other time of the year, and they just come and thought they could just ask her personal questions. And that is painful to hit with, to have to deal with that every year from people who aren't in your day-to-day life. And even if they are, back off. Deeply personal questions and everyone in that room waiting for the answer. Just great. That and other choice questions and comments that she just could barely stomach. And she just eventually bowed right out of the whole thing. She loves Christmas with her own family and me, and we have a nice time. It's what we like to call the no bullshit zone, you know what I mean? Yes, absolutely. I thought you might. It's hunting season for our abusive family members, isn't it, right now? They're primed and ready with their rhetoric and their drama where they get to cross boundaries and try to guilt us and then end the season with an Oscar award-winning performance of the victim. It's so predictable. I actually feel embarrassed for them. I don't really, but you know what I mean. Many of us are done with their drama that they inject into our events. The trauma that so many endure has got a big fat expiry date on it. Fancy getting off on being mean and twisted. It gives them the sense of power to unnerve people at this time. I watched my kids' grandmother act like an angel grandmother with the others' kids and totally ignore mine. It was so hurtful. I always said these kids will grow up one day and they will be adults and they will recall how they were treated, like really dumb. And exactly, that's what their memories are. But still have the nerve to insist on them coming over only to ignore them, nutbags, a lot of them, and they're always threatening to die. Well, ding-dongs, you will die one day, as we all will, but I ain't holding my breath. Evil lives for an extra long time. Crikey dicks, it just seems like that, doesn't it? Anyway, many of us do not have time for dysfunctional lunatics who, by being a blood relative, think they have the right to abuse you. When you put it like that, you know you're absolutely right to just stay way clear. Time is a precious commodity, and if you are able to say, not this year, silence is very powerful. Plan something nice for yourself. Watch that series you've been wanting to see. Take a bath. Clean out closets. Do what you want to. The thing is, narcissists will always try a new angle or a new improved angle and their stories just evolve. I feel like it's just a massive yawn. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. People grow up. People have long memories. And like so many of us, we are done with the slanderous lies. We're done with the evil. We're done with the guilt. Just done. And couldn't be bloody happier. No matter how much they envision that they hold the cards, here, have the box. Have even the bigger box for your cards. Couldn't care. I am happily disconnected for all those who have happily lied and created so much chaos in my life. Now, that is all in the past, and that is where it will stay. I have a good life, and who is in it is just fine. It's a small universe, but I have the best of the best. The rest is a major yawn, sort of like been there and done that, and I'm not going there ever again. So 'tis a season for selective amnesia, empty promises, and histrionics. Yeah, I'll pass. Keep your guard up. Maybe you're not in the mood for some sneaky passive-aggressive drama. Boundaries are a good thing, always. We have to understand that to abuse is a conscious choice. The choice to abuse does not deserve to be given a free pass simply because your abusers are family members. And that's why that statement that people throw around, but that's your family, is so harmful. Until you find the indifferent stage, it's giving the green light to abusers to abuse. Working on mental health, getting healthy in our thoughts is the bomb. Getting assistance, therapy, reading good books, get as much information and coping skills as you can if you're still going through it or you know you will be going through it. I love knowing that I'm free from any control of unhealthy family members. It's just plain peace of mind, no contact, music to my ears. There will be a lot of no's this year. There are many of us are finally saying no, not this year. Hashtag no is a complete sentence. And that'll be a no from me and me. We're coming to the end of our pre-Christmas podcast. I hope you heard this in your heart and know that I do know what it's like, and I also now know how it is on the other side. And can I say it's lovely? Come on over. I'll say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, ho, 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 as my grandson says, and all that jazz. I'll be with my grandson and probably sitting in a paddling pool with him and having the best fun as you do with a 2-year-old genius who loves his Mima. That's what he calls me, Mima. So cute. Keeping it simple and lovely as though it was any other day, just a nice gathering with some of my family, and that's that. I wish you everything good. Say g'day to the crew for me and give the blue tongue lizard a wave. And I'll see you next time, okay? Okay, bye.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.